Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Living Life with James, where we talk about real life experiences, growth, and hear stories that help us or inspire us to be able to take pieces of information and use in our own worlds. Today, we are going to be getting into the topic of law, immigration law, and maybe even talking a little reality TV. So I can't wait to get into it and maybe hear how those stories that are going to be shared can maybe inspire us to be able to use in our own life as we navigate life situations. Now, listen, today I am excited because I have the incredible Kelsey here. Kelsey is an immigration attorney who's helped over 4,000 clients navigate life-changing legal battles. Kelsey has a mother who is from the Philippines. Kelsey has a grandmother who is a Holocaust survivor. And I say this because she carries a deep passion for being able to help families and fighting for justice. Kelsey is also a fierce LGBTQ plus ally. And Kelsey has helped over 14 different clients from the 90-Day Fiancé franchise, some of them which are on the last resort. So I can't wait to get into that with her. Listen, what I also want to say, what draws me to Kelsey isn't her expertise. It's actually her heart. It's her dedication. It's the fight that she has in her to help people navigate through legal battles and fight for purpose. And I cannot wait to get into it with her today. So please help me welcome Kelsey.
Hi. Are you trying to make me cry?
Oh, listen, you've done so much, and I really appreciate you. And one of the things, like I said, you help people kind of navigate how to have a better future. And I think that's the most impactful, important thing.
Yeah, it's been rough lately, but
I
um
want to get into it with you. Tell the audience a little bit about who you are and what you do.
so I'm not crying already, I hope. Okay. So my name is Kelsey, as James mentioned, and I am an immigration attorney. I did not start practicing with immigration actually, but I will get into that later of how I ended up here. It will actually be my 8th year practicing in May. So James and I both look very young, but we're very experienced. And yeah, I actually went to law school because of the movie Legally Blonde. So that's my life origin story, is watching.
Listen, we're going to get into that because that's one of the things that I just love, not only your passion, but your style, your fashion, and how you can marry that with law. So pause with that one because trust and believe it. Trust and believe, we're going to get to that.
I believe it.
We're talking about some of the glamour. We're talking about reality TV, but the behind the scenes is yeah, it's a lot. There's research, right? There's the gritty part of it. There's
Yeah.
doing the work, investigating. There's the paperwork. There's not to mention the schooling and
Oh my God.
the amount of studying that goes into
It's a
having
lot.
to prepare for this. Absolutely.
Yeah.
How as we're talking about you getting into immigration, what was the link? How did you somehow make your way into this world of 90-Day Fiancé?
So it's really funny because I wasn't doing immigration when I got introduced to 90 Day Fiancé. My husband is a huge fan of the show, and during COVID, I believe a lot of people started watching a lot more TV than they
Yeah.
started. And I love TV, especially reality TV, with how stressful my own career is. When you can just turn on TV and watch the house,
Distract, hope,
yeah, watch the
yeah.
housewives, like see their problems, or I just Jersey Shore is like my OG from I think that's the most perfect reality cast of all time. They're iconic, and that's why they're still on TV to this day. But I mean, at first I remember turning on 90 Day Fiancé and being like, I can't believe we're watching this, to be honest. And it was wild. The season I started watching actually has Natalie, which was my first client, still is. And yeah, it was more for entertainment, and I loved 90 Day. And then when I started to get into immigration, I was watching the show and seeing things happen, especially at the tell-alls, that were alarming for immigration purposes. I know it's entertainment, but some of the things that were revealed at certain times, I'm thinking, some of these people, they're real people at the end of the day, are in danger. That thing that just happened on the show could trigger ICE or deportation or could trigger fraud. I'm just worried about these real people on TV because at the end of the day, I think we forget that they're humans. So
I'm gonna this. I want to insert this. I'm glad you're saying that because here's the tea. As I started saying with somebody asked me a question, James, is this real? And my response to that is yes. Now, here's the reality, right? There's dramatization. There are people that may beef up their storylines. I'm sure there are producers putting little hints in people's ears and, trying to develop whether it's a storyline or certain things to say. There are parts that I'm sure may have some script-like feelings to it. There are things that may just seem fake. Let's keep it real. However, there are so many real components to it. And what you're saying, whether it's navigating the legal system, whether it's dealing with their own emotions, whether it's how they're showing up in these relationships, there are many real components to it. Whether it's the Housewives, Love is Blind, or 90 Day Fiancé, right? There is that component of some realness to it.
Absolutely. And I commend anyone that goes on reality TV like you, because it's brutal out there. The internet is wild. So for me, I was reaching out more so because I was new in this area, getting some experience, doing some cases that were pretty relevant and similar to what I was seeing on television. As fake as it seems, so many of these cases are identical to what I deal with, on the daily. I see so many age gaps and big cultural differences, and just there's a lot. The family dynamics, the friends who don't accept it, all of it is very real. And I mean,
So it sounds to me, Kelsey, it sounds kind of like you got you kind of reached out to Natalie about helping her navigate and just your experiences of how to be able to move through this whole process and things that you were seeing and picking up on. So you reached out to her, you offered her some support and guidance. That kind of turned into, which happens in many professions and careers, kind of the word of mouth referrals.
Oh yeah, right? It's actually funny because I also reached out to Jasmine. Both of them were like, we're good. Like, we're good. Both of them actually were kindly like, I'm good. And I doubled down with Natalie when what I was seeing on television. I'm like, okay, I don't think you are based on what is being aired. Yeah. So if you need anybody, there's no strings attached. I do immigration. I'd love to help.
Well, you've touched many lives. You've had an impact. And regardless of how you kind of got into the franchise, regardless of how you got in contact with these people, again, what speaks to me is your heart for putting yourself out there and the work that you're doing.
You don't know if you don't try, right? So
I agree. And listen, it comes at a cost. As much as you want to help people, as you said, being in the public eye and the type of work that we do comes at a cost because people want to have their voices heard. People want to have their comments seen, heard. People have feedback that they want to give. And it's not always, positive and loving.
Yeah, and it's very polarizing, especially immigration. Everyone feels an emotion when you bring up immigration,
especially in immigration in general, and then in this political climate, which we won't get into, but the reality is I can see how it can make your job complicated, make your life, your personal life complicated.
Yeah, you get a reaction of like you're doing God's work, or you do immigration. I'm like, it's really one or the other at this point.
I can see that because that's a good it's a little segue for wondering, how do you handle, I guess, the emotional part? How do you handle your own mental health as you're dealing with immigration law, as you're dealing with being there for so many people in their lives, in their legal battles with, for themselves, for their family? How do you go? What do you do when you check out of the office? How do you take care of yourself?
That's a great question. I need to work on it. I am just such an empath. which is great and also horrible because I do carry it with me. And there's been times where I am kind of upset that this is the area I'm in, because I would love to turn it off, but I have to listen, and I have to know what's going on, especially like I have to know with the LGBTQ community. Like I don't want to look into it, but I need to. Like, am I going to be able to keep protecting everyone? It's a lot, but
Your heart's in it, as you just said, you're an empath, but here's the T. The T is you may not always be prioritizing yourself when it comes to mental health and taking care of yourself. And I'm glad we're bringing this
I
up.
agree. That's very true.
Yeah. And many people, I think, in our fields, in the helping professions, right, you get absorbed and you want to be there and you want to help as many people as possible. And you can forget yourself. And sometimes people take things home with them, as it sounds you do, and you're busy. Yeah. So that work-life balance can be off. Girl, we're going to have to talk about that one.
It is off the charts, especially taking on people in reality TV. It's now, it's on my phone. Let's
get into this. Let's get into that. Here we go. Another smooth segue. Okay, yes. Let's be real. You wrapped 14 different reality stars, we'll say. Mm-hmm. What you're mentioning, Kelsey, is wanting to be there, wanting to help others, but also here's something for the audience to take with them: how to set boundaries.
Can you teach me?
Listen, that's why I said, girl, we'll have to talk later, because it's not easy. It's not easy. You want to be there and help the most you can. We may not realize how it could take a toll or effect on not only our lives, but our marriages, friendships, families.
Yeah, it definitely does. It does. And especially if family doesn't agree with what I'm doing. So that's fine.
What I was starting to say is you are like the Olivia Pope of the 90-day franchise world and how you're helping people. And I would love for you to spill what has been maybe the wildest legal journey moments that you've had.
Oh my God, that is a crazy question.
And now listen, no names unless you want to, but we're just curious as to all of this stuff you're navigating. What's been the spiciest, the wildest, the craziest?
I mean, there's moments where I feel like a producer because I'm so behind the scenes, and then things are, I think, for reality TV purposes, not for like all of my cases ever, but it's hard. I never realized the conflict of interest I would get into representing people on the same show, because nobody wants to see the cast being kumbaya. So, and the show ends, everyone's okay. And then it starts to air and it's triggering people, and you're seeing things you didn't see, like the interviews. And then there's a whole between the sheets that's later, which is confusing. And then the tell-all is like way later. So just, man, it felt at times where I'm like reminding people that, hey, we already got over that. Let's, that was, it really sucks to watch in real time. I think the craziest things that happen is when I see somebody and their stories are very similar, but they're pitted against each other. And I just am like, can you just see that your cases are actually really similar? And
it sounds like you're speaking of some people on The Last Resort.
Yes. And in general, like there's two sides to when a relationship breaks down, and there's a story that's been played a lot. It's the immigrant using somebody for a green card. And yes, I do see that. But there's the other side where the immigrant comes here and they're used. They are abused or neglected, and their status is held over their head. And there's a case to protect people like that. And I do them a lot, unfortunately. And I don't know why that story really isn't ever shown, because it's happening. And I'm shocked by the similarities that I see a lot of my clients go through, not just on The Last Resort, but in general. Imagine coming to a country that's not your own, no family, no friends. You don't have the right to work until they apply. You don't have a driver's license. you're not in status. If you guys aren't doing well, they're your sponsor.
And not many people think about that. So the behind the scenes, Kelsey, what I'm hearing from you is not necessarily one specific wild ride, if you will,
No.
but it's more of the themes that are coming up for you, right? The consistency in themes that you're seeing around immigration, green card, how people may interact with one another, feeling used in these situations, the emotions that may come up in these situations. For you, being in reality TV, sometimes feeling a conflict of interest or navigating people's interactions, feeling like you're that producer. There's so many themes that can be overwhelming.
It's a lot. And then when people are on the internet are like, this is so fake, it's just not, because I have thousands of real clients that have similar situations. And I mean, waiting for the 90-day visa in general takes about 1.5 years if you do it that way. So imagine just being separated from your person for 1.5 years. Then you have 90 days to figure it out. In that 90 days, they can't work. So the US citizen has to fully provide, and that's stressful. And it may be the first time they're living together, and it's just a big pressure cooker. And
how long do they have to provide for?
So once you're married, if they apply for the green card, then you can apply for a work permit. It normally takes about 2 to 6 months to get that, but add the 90 days, I mean, at minimum 5-6 months. The 90 days is so important. You need to see, can you live together? Are your cultural differences going to be bad? Are you going to get along with their friends and family? Are you going to feel supported?
Bringing two different worlds together. You just saying that piece, I've noticed that when I was working with the couples, that there is a lot around cultural differences.
A lot.
And, you know, whether it's family. Yeah. You already let me know that there are emotional concerns, there are financial concerns, not just concerns, but difficulties, challenges, and clearly social, right? Because the cultural piece shows up in a way to say, this is something I'm navigating or that's important to me, and my partner's spouse may not understand that, being from a different country, let alone other friends that I'm meeting in this country may not understand that culture as well, and that affects you socially.
Yeah, it's just a big melting pot of issues. That is, the 90 days is crazy to me, but it is what it is. That's the law. Yeah, I don't even know if 6 months would help. I'm not really sure, but that's why it makes such a great TV show. It's real. That is a real process. You have 90 days to figure it out, and you either get married or you don't. And if you don't get married, it's not really possible. You're supposed to go back. Those are the rules. So you do have to get married or go home.
I appreciate. I've never watched, until being on the show, I've never really watched or knew about 90 Day. Of course, I've heard it, right? It's a part of pop culture, 90 Day Fiancé. But I appreciate breaking it down further, because I think so many people just get caught up on maybe certain storylines or the idea of 90 Day Fiancé, and they're forgetting, all of the things that go into this. The legality issues, the mental health issues, the social issues, the financial issues. And some of these things may be seen on TV, but there's a lot more to it than what meets the eye.
Yeah, it's just, it's a lot to unpack, and it's heartbreaking when it doesn't work. Or it's heartbreaking when I'm advocating for it to work, and then I fought for their love story, and then someone feels used, and it's confusing. I used to always fight. I'm like, you got to fight. You know how rare love is in this world. And I saw it. Now I will tell you, I'm like, you know what? I'm not liking this. I feel like you're being used. I'm just honest at this point. I've been doing it too long, where I'll tell them, like, you don't deserve that. Or yeah, you're going to be responsible. You think the K1 is bad? Like, once you're married, have you seen the laws for marriage? It's community property. Like, everyone worries about the sponsor requirements. What about once you're married? You're legally tied. That's where the real debt stuff comes in, not the sponsorship.
Listen, people need someone like you to help navigate, support, and guide, because as you're just mentioning these things, and I'm knowing some of these people, we all know what's happening right now in the media related to many of these situations. It's overwhelming, to say the least, for both parties, right? And then we throw in name calling. We throw in, what is this going to look like for myself being played out? We throw in, comments, and you just kind of, the icing on the cake is social media and comments and
What
what
about
people have.
editing too?
Editing, all of these things. So, my point is that support and guidance it's much needed, because there's so much behind it. And what we may not see are the fears, the
100%.
concerns,
And
right?
really important what you just said. What we may not see is what people never realize when you're watching reality TV is just imagine this hypo is that you're filmed for a month and then they are going to put out 20 minutes of your life of that month. I mean, my husband and I would look chaotic, and it's just unfair, and nobody ever gives any of the people on TV that alone, that little benefit of the doubt that maybe I didn't see the full experience.
You are preaching to the choir. That's been probably the biggest thing, at least I know personally now, that I've done hours of therapy, different modalities, right? And coming at it from different approaches, but people get to see a quick, and not even a 5-minute clip, some 1-minute clips, some seconds, and they judge. And I get it, because this is what you're watching, this is what you're seeing. But in that condensed version, you're going to make comments, suggestions, thoughts related to James and his therapy style, or his lack thereof, because this is all I got to see. Forget, the other 4 hours of footage where we're talking about, different approaches and, different styles of therapy. But this is all I saw, so this is what I'm going to base it all off of.
Right. I mean, the tell-all's 4 parts. If you filmed in 4 days, I mean, it's 1 hour, right? So you're getting about 8% of what would actually happen that day. Maybe. I'm just giving a hypo. I don't actually know the exact statistics, but I'm just saying, I mean, if it was 12 hours that day, that's 1 part. What they show you is about 8%, plus editing, plus there's interviews after.
All of that.
You're just losing. You're losing most of the story for what is entertaining, right? What's going to evoke attention, right? What is?
I want to jump back to something you said earlier, because I'm going to bring it back to this point. There is a level of, I'm watching reality TV to check out, and or some people may want the heightened drama. They like to see the arguments, right? Somebody actually had the nerve to say, I don't want to see the therapy. Now, listen, I think there's people are.
I want to see more therapy.
Yeah, well, listen, I think that's where the comments are a little bit torn. People like myself and some people are saying, listen, we want to see more therapy. We want the sessions. We want more tools. We want more of those interactions. And then some people say, no, I want the fighting and the explosions. And so back to your point is, well, first of all, we need to have a nice balance there. I get the reasons why people watch reality TV, but there's so much more that goes into it. And these things around legality issues, mental health issues, this can be a great platform for them to be really shared, exposed, and people to be able to hopefully be able to learn from these things.
Yeah, when I met you, I told you, oh, I'm so excited you're licensed in Arizona. I have real clients that would need you. The tools are, I mean, they're necessary. I think anyone who goes on reality TV should be provided a therapist, because you don't control much except your own reaction. So I think it's imperative that you get help, especially when it's playing out and then everyone is judging whatever they decided to put out, the 4% of your life that they decided to put on TV. I try not to bash anyone on the show, because I just think it's just bold to put your life out there. I don't think I could do it. The way I get attacked for just doing my job and representing my clients, and I'm not even on the screen, is a lot. And I can't imagine.
Well, I think that both of us, we can see things from a different perspective. At times we may be more neutral. At times, we are all times we're non-judgmental. And I think we can look into the lives of both parties, right? Absolutely. And see where they're coming from.
Yeah, I can absolutely empathize with the US citizen side. That's what I was born with. But I can empathize with the other side where we've never had to think about, do I have documentation? We don't have to worry if we're going to be let back into the country, even if we're legally here. I never had to worry about my mom because she was documented by the time I was old enough to know. We didn't have to go through those things that a lot of people have to go through every day. It's
You saying that, here's the key, a non-biased point of view, being able to show up, support, and guide. That's who I would want as a mental health provider, as somebody that is going to be my attorney. I want somebody that's going to be able to see both sides and not just be biased to taking on someone's side. It's easy to make judgments and to have your comments, right?
Yeah.
But we all know everybody's got their own stuff behind the scenes. So a little empathy, a little compassion goes a long way. These are pretty heavy topics. And, my hat goes off to you for, not only doing the work, for showing up, but for being there and dedicating yourself to the cause. And, I know so many people love and appreciate you. So continue doing your thing because it's much needed. There's so much heaviness here.
I know there's a lot of really good victories.
I can see. Well, and let's spin it, because here's the moment. I love Legally Blonde. I love Elle Woods. What a classic pop culture cult movie. Love me some Legally Blonde. You are all about pink. You are all about Elle Woods. Listen, you are the modern day Elle Woods minus the Chihuahua.
Yeah, but I do have a small white dog.
So. But you do have a small white dog. Tell us about that. What appeals to you about the whole Legally Blonde, Elle Woods, and just your persona in this arena of law and what you've taken on with fashion and pink?
So I saw the movie when I was 9 going on 10, and there's not that many movies for young women to model their lives after. So this is a pretty good one. I really did. I joined a sorority. I got heartbroken. I got a dog, and then I found a great guy eventually. My husband's amazing. And my law school personal statement was, I want to help people. And that's what I do. And my transfer statement was, when I transferred to the Chicago, I was like, wow, I really did that. I did that first summer. And this is all real. But I've always been I think it's better to be yourself unapologetically than to try to fit a mold. When I was making my own law firm, I remember my brother and my dad saying, you can't do pink. Come on, Kelsey. I'm like, why not? Yeah. And they're like, it's not professional. And my dad is a very successful business owner. My brother's really as well, very professional and successful. And I love their opinions. And maybe half the time I listen, but I stuck my grounds on that. I'm like, no, I'm going to do pink. It's my personality. It makes me stick out. And if somebody does not want to work with me because my logo is black and pink, go. I don't care. Yeah. And when you do a consultation with me, I'm not in my office today, but my office is pink. It brings all of my staff joy. And we wear pink every Wednesday from another movie, Mean Girls. Not because we're mean, but just because it's fun. It gives Wednesday a fun meaning. We're halfway through the week. They're long.
Well, you're talking about work culture. You're talking about happiness, right? We're talking about quality of life. And you're marrying that to this idea of being true, being authentic, what brings you joy. And that carries over. And I think the clients that you work with feel that. Also, listen, I say balance, because balance with, I'm creating my own story, but there's something to be said about whether it's a Mean Girl moment or a Legally Blonde moment, some inspiration we can take. Clearly, we're not going to be living these movies, but there's some moments of inspiration that I think help create or empower young women to say, I'm going to be an attorney, I'm going to be a doctor, right? I'm going to stand up for kindness.
Yeah, Reese Witherspoon talks about how many women have come up to her and told them they became a lawyer because of Elle Woods. And yeah, I know I would have been something. I think my senior yearbook said I was going to be an orthodontist. I was torn between pediatric oncologist, attorney, and orthodontist. So, I mean, I was always going after something crazy. My dad said I was way too emotional to be a child cancer doctor, which he was right. I can't even read or watch a movie about that. I just bawl.
But I love how your emotions show up in the work that you do because, again, balance how it serves you to be able to be there to support and see clients through a very specific lens. And I think it helps drive your work.
Yeah. And there's a lot of really, I know we just talked about a lot of heavy things, but there's a lot of really fun moments where we're dancing, we're crying tears of joy. We're getting calls that we just, we have a firefighter who's risking their life and they just, their day is better because they know their wife and their newborn baby who they're separated from get to come here because we just got their interview scheduled. Like those moments are worth all the bad. Anyone hating me for doing immigration,
I agree.
I don't care. The victories are sweet and great. And there's some countries where your marriage wouldn't be recognized. So I fight for that.
You're changing people's worlds. You're changing people's lives, their family's life, their friends' lives. There's so much to this.
And it's fun because if it works out, if we're a good fit, after you're a citizen, I can help get your parents here. And, there's just, it's fun. It's not as heavy as some of the other stuff I've done in law where
I'm glad you're able to have purpose and have fun with it. For me, in my work, and I think there's similarities, having kind of this emotional, inspiring, purpose-driven career where you're able to make an impact and touch so many people's lives, to me, that makes it all worth it. That's what this is about. Yeah. And so thinking of that, I know clearly, from 90 Day or reality TV to LGBTQ plus community to immigrants, what would you say is one of the most impactful moments, something that stands out for you to this day when you think about the topics of emotions, inspiring, purpose-driven career?
I think for me, when I get to help someone's parent who basically sacrificed everything and then the child gets to help the parent, those are the best cases ever. They're always my favorite. It's you have to be 21 to petition your parents and they've normally gone through everything. They've lived their life here. Sorry.
No, I see there's emotion in that for you. We
just had one of those and I met him on his 21st birthday. The case took a long time. And the whole firm cried tears of joy. It was great. I'm pretty sure the officer at USCIS also his last name was Hispanic. I'm assuming he could see his mother right in her when she was getting approved. And those are always our absolute, as the child who everything was sacrificed for you to finally be able to help your parent it's everything. And it's how I'm here. If my Nana didn't escape the Holocaust, I wouldn't be here. So, and her parents they sent her here on a boat alone because you weren't allowed to leave with children at the time. She was 8 years old, sent with my great aunt on a boat. A family in Sweden agreed to help. But yeah, imagine being 8 and 11 and being sent on a boat to a foreign country. And that's why I'm here today. And just remembering our roots and how America came to be is we are a country of immigrants, and it's the backbone of America.
I appreciate you saying that, Kelsey. And I've heard so many stories similar to what you just shared, and I just ask that people can try to kind of lean into themselves and maybe find the gray area, because I know, many people's thoughts, and again, especially in this political climate, tend to be black or white when it comes to certain topics. Yes. Yeah, well, and it's great. Or there's pink. And
it's pink.
It's pink. And the reality is just trying to understand that there are stories or more details that we may not have. And it's not just black and white. And there may be more to this than what meets the eye.
Absolutely. Just having, empathy at the end of the day, or just wanting to hear, why maybe the term illegal alien is it's not okay to use. I just, would you want to be called an alien? There's just things and topics that I just wish they would listen to the other side.
You can write a book. You need to have your own, vlog where you're sharing, and educating, because I think at the root of this, it's being able to have some educating and understanding, whether you agree or not. Let's just be educated and understand and hear some of these stories. That's what I'm about. I want to hear people's stories.
Yeah, I mean, the stories are inspiring, and I don't think you could hear some of the really hard cases, and I don't think you would say she shouldn't have done that for them. I think if you had the full story, you would agree the side that I'm on most of the time, because I just, yeah, you don't get the full context, and they look at it.
If there's one piece of legal advice that you'd like to leave people with, a legal tip, or let's take it further. Let's be dramatic. If you had a tattoo of one piece of illegal advice that you wish everyone would see or follow, what would that be?
You have the right to an attorney. Anything you say or do, especially on the internet, will be used against you.
Life tips.
And if you also, I really just want people to be kind. I know that's not legal advice, but I mean, just be kinder. It's a hard world out there for most people right now. It's the glimmers. I mean, as much as people love to hate or someone on TV, I mean, they're giving you the entertainment that's helping you get out of your own world. And just, I mean, do you really need to hate anyone that you see on TV? Like, are they really evoking that emotion, or is something else?
Well, and take a step back. Take a step back and see what's going on in your own world, please.
Is there another reason that you do not like that person on The Last Resort? Is it are they really making you that mad, or is it triggering you because it reminds you of someone in real life, or
all of that? I can't tell you, I've definitely learned to navigate through this, but to get a random message showing up, a DM on Instagram saying, James, I hate you, full stop, period. Now, listen, girl, what's going on in your world that you feel the need to show up and drop this type of message? Because listen, I'm on a reality TV show. I'm not causing harm.
No.
Right? I'm there to support. I know where I am in my heart. I know that I'm leading from this place of kindness, love, and trying to help out in the arena of mental health. To leave a comment like that, what is happening? What's going on with you?
Yeah. And isn't it crazy when it's like an account that was like just created, no followers, they made it just to send the most vile message I've ever read.
I don't need to hear that. Keep that. Thanks. No thanks. What's the old saying? Mom used to say, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all.
Yeah. And I try to send, especially my clients on TV, and even my best friend was just on The Bachelor. I send all the positive stuff. I'm like, hey, look at what they're saying about you. Like, because it's just so much negative that I want them to know, like, there's also so many people who see you in them and they love you. Absolutely. And they, I think I've sent you positive stuff too, or I tried to, but
you have, and I appreciate it. And so here's the cheers to kindness. Cheers to knowing your rights. Cheers to kindness. Kelsey, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your wisdom, the experiences that you're sharing. I appreciate the work that you're doing and how you show up. So thank you.
Same to you. I love what you do. Even getting dinner with you, I feel like it's free therapy, because
you're so sweet.
Like, you're just so personable and genuine, and anyone who knows you is lucky. So
you as well. Thank you, Kelsey. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. All the best.
Bye, guys.
Bye.